Cock 45 here. This is a 43 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world. What did I tell you? Oh, big 43. I'll be darned. Wow. That is power. Yep, 43 Magnum. That's what we're about today. Many of you are under the illusion that Dirty Harry carried a 44. I don't know where you got that, but it was not a 44. Now, some of you will say, yeah, I knew that. He carried a 41 and all these other stories about that. And in the movie, some scenes, I understand, maybe it was a 41, but it was a 44 part of the time I've seen the gun. But anyway, another topic today, 43 Magnum. Some of you probably are so clueless and so ignorant when it comes to firearms, you've never even heard of a 43 Magnum. What is wrong with you? Where have you been? Well, you're actually pretty smart, because there's not a cartridge or firearm that I'm aware of called the 43 Magnum. I'm just messing with you because I thought maybe you would appreciate a little education. I mean, that's my job, right? I got to do something worthwhile every now and then other than just play. So, why did Dirty Harry carry a 43 Magnum? And he actually did carry a 43 caliber, okay? In fact, one of my favorite cartridges, one of my favorite calibers, firearms that I shoot all the time and have all through my shooting career is 43. Because what you think of, many of you, as 44 caliber is actually 43. And I thought I would tell you why that is, in case you didn't know. Now, a lot of you know it, and you could explain it probably much better than I will, okay? But I know a little bit about it. So let me show you some cartridges here, and these are antiques. These are antiques. And these are not. These are 22 long rifle. You wonder, how does that relate? Well, I'm going to tell you, but first I want to thank the people that help us, like Davidson's Gallery of Guns, where you get a guaranteed lifetime replacement on any firearm purchase there. So check them out. And then Silencer Central, the Banished lineup. You've seen them here. Great little suppressors. Appreciate their help. SDI, the Sonoran Desert Institute, get some distance learning and drone technology, firearms technology, gunsmithing, all sorts of things, okay? All right, appreciate you supporting those people that support us. So why do I have these bullets? Okay, bottom line is, and I got some different firearms there. Here's a 44 Special from the 50s, 44 Special. And here's my Model 29 Dirty Harry version, 6.5 inch 44 Magnum, okay, Model 29. The bore on those, the bore diameter, now this is out here for a different reason, that's a 45, but the bore diameter and the bullets. Let me grab a 44 Special here, 44 Magnum. The bore diameter, or the bullet diameter, is 43 on these, okay? The bullet is 43 hundredths of an inch. All right. Generally, they're 429, you know, 0.429, 429 thousandths. Okay, or 430, 0.430. Sometimes some that I hand load are 0.431 thousandths. Okay, and so your bores could vary a little bit, but generally the bore on a 44 Special, a modern gun, 44 Magnum, it's going to be in that neighborhood. It's going to want a like a 0.429 bullet, you know, 0.430, and there's flexibility. It's not like going to blow up the gun if it's 0.429 or 430 or 431. All right, but yeah, in my book, I ain't that good in math, but 0.430, you know, I mean, it's a 43 caliber. Yeah, that's 43 caliber. And here's the reason. If you know more, feel free to share. But from my understanding, okay, some of the early 44s, you know, the earliest 44 cartridges, and that goes back into, I guess, mainly like the Henry. I've got the Henry and I've got the Smith & Wesson American here, and I'm not sure which ones are which now. I've bought these at gun shows over the years, but these older bullets, the Henry from the Henry rifle, they were rimfire, and then the American, they were heel type bullets. Remember that description? They were heel type. That means pretty much the bullet was kind of flush with the case. You notice that? It has kind of a heel and it just hangs on the top of that case, like our modern day 22 long rifle. They're the same way. They don't, well, they do fit down into the case just as those do, but if you can see a picture, you got kind of a heel on it. You got an edge, and so it ends up being flush with the case, right? Yeah, that's just it. So in terms of modern ammo, the 22 is, I guess, about the only thing like that I can think of. There may be some others, if you can think of something, but those are, the outside of that bullet is flush pretty much with the outside of the case. They would be the same diameter if I put the micrometer on it, okay? There's really essentially no difference. And the same with these old style 44s, 44 Henry, 44 Smith & Wesson American. You know, the case, outside diameter of the case is the same diameter basically as the bullet, at least the lower part of the bullet, okay? Now, that was that, and that would take us up into, with the Ruger, with the Smith & Wesson American round in the 1870s, in a gun like this Schofield. It was kind of, you know, top break, you know, and it was the Smith & Wesson American. It was a heel type bullet, okay? And that was a fairly popular gun. The military even adopted that and bought a fair number of them, I think. So in the early 70s though, and it was a heel type bullet, like I said, but the Russians came along, they liked it, and they put in an order. Well, they negotiated, but they put in orders for, gosh, what was that, hundreds of thousands of these things. They bought so many Smith & Wesson, these top breaks, that it almost took Smith & Wesson out of the American market. You know, it's one reason the Colt was so popular, because they were busy building guns for the Russians in the early 1870s. And you may have seen them, the Russian model. They got a little bit different grip. They got that flange off the trigger guard and everything. And they were chambered for a different bullet. The Russians didn't like these heel type bullets because they are outside lubricated. You know, you see the grooves there. They put the lube on the outside of them, and it, you know, you can imagine it pick up lint and trash and grit, and bad for the gun, and just get dirty because the lube would pick up, it would attract, you know, dirt. They wanted an inside lubed bullet, a bullet that fit down in the case, and the lube would be down in the case. Okay, and then the lube is, of course, the lube the bullet is just going through the barrel, so it doesn't need to be up here out of the case necessarily. And so the Smith & Wesson said, okay, we can do that. They redesigned the bullet, the cartridge, and they made it a little bit longer, I believe, and it was called the Russian round, the 44 Russian. And the thick case was just a little bit longer, but the most important thing was they put the bullet down in the case, you know, all the way down in it. Oh, there's an example right there. See that? It doesn't fit all the way because it's a little bigger. It's the same size as the case. And so the bullet, as in modern bullets, like these, the bullet goes all the way down in the case, okay? So the bullet diameter is smaller than the case diameter. But they didn't change the barrel or the gun, okay? They made the bullet smaller. Well, I mean, they did for the Russian 44s. So you end up with a barrel diameter to match these bullets on the Russian guns. And they just, after that time, the 44 became, you know, instead of, I'm not sure, I recall what the diameter was on the early ones, like the the Smith & Wesson American and the Henry and everything. But when they started making the Russian model, they went to a smaller bullet and a smaller barrel diameter. All right, but they still call it the 44. All right, so it's actually basically a 43 caliber that we are firing when we have a 44. And I mean, that's essentially any 44, right? Since the 1870s, okay? They're actually 43 caliber. You you folks that hand load, of course, this is not any news to you at all. And I've been buying 44 caliber bullets for years for hand loading, whether they're jacketed or cast bullets. And sometimes you want a different diameter bullet if it's a cast bullet, and maybe for a certain gun, like for my Marlin 44. My Marlin 44, what am I trying to say? My lever gun. I discovered that the bullets I'd been loading, and they were like 429, .429 or something. They were tumbling, and so that bore was just a little bit bigger. But you're talking about, with modern 44 caliber rifles and handguns and all that, you're talking about probably what, 4.429 to .431 in that range. Okay, so that's 43 caliber again in my book, and I'm gonna shoot this again with some specials. Is that okay? I'm gonna shoot some more 43s. These are 43 caliber bullets. It's just a fact. Also want to thank Alabama Holster for their support of the channel. Great little concealment Kydex holsters. I hope you've checked them out. I know a lot of you have. So let's shoot some more 43 caliber bullets. But I do give you permission to continue calling it a 44. All right? After all, it says that right on the barrel. How about you, Clyde? You want a 43 caliber? Did I miss Clyde? Yeah, I didn't that time. Let's put one more right here close. Yeah. So yeah, it's a 43. Dirty Harry was carrying a 43. He might not have known it because, you know, Clint's an actor. He's probably not a hand loader, and he might not have realized he was carrying a 43 caliber firearm, thinking all the while he was packing around a big bad 44. Sorry, Clint. Hate to break the news to you. 43, that's what it is. Life is good.
Oh yeah, that's better. This is a great gun for defense. Oh hey, didn't see you guys there. While I've got you here, I want to remind you of our friends over at Talon Grips and Ballistol. Talon Grips makes grips, can you believe it, for all different types of firearms. You can get rough texture or more of a rubberized texture. It just sticks right on there. You know, really affordable, really cool option to improve the grip for your handguns or rifles. So please check them out at talongungrips.com. You'll be glad you did. And also Ballistol. Dad has been using Ballistol for many years. It's a cleaner and a lubricant, and it's non-toxic. It works really great, and we're happy to have them on board since it's been a part of our shooting endeavor for a very long time. So go to ballistol.com, talongungrips.com. And also, while you're out there, I'm juggling all these things here. Also, while you're on the internet, please do check out our other social media like Hickok45 on Facebook. There's also Hickok45 on Twitter, The Real Hickok45 on Instagram. There's a John_Hickok45 on Instagram where I do some things. There's Hickok45.com. You can find us also on Gunstreamer. So check out all that stuff and then watch more videos.